Hey, today I thought we would do another story. This time we'll go back to Christmas 1974. It's kind of a special Christmas because that was the first Christmas that I started school. So I learned all about Christmas break and why my brother and sister that are older than me were always so excited about it this time of year. And then the second big thing was that was the first Christmas that I got comic books, which was awesome. Obviously, I still love them today. So, the way my mom would do it, she would roll them and stick them in the stocking. And from that Christmas on, 1974 on, till I don't know, probably till I was in high school even, I would at least get one comic book rolled up in my stocking. Christmas morning was always the first thing I would run out and take a look at. Presents were secondary. I always just wanted to see what I got in that stocking. So this year I got a number of comics in my stocking, um, and one of the ones that I remember the most, and the one I'm going to show today, and holds special meaning for me for several reasons. I'll show you right now. The first one that I pulled out of the stocking was this little jazzy number here, Astonishing Tales, number 26. The beautiful cover by Rich Buckler, and of course one of my favorite characters, Deathlock. Uh, I think he's my favorite because it combines two of my favorite things, zombies and robots. So he's both. Uh, but I remember getting this comic and just right away I read it and read it and read it. And then the best part was I also got this one rolled up in the stocking as well. Another beautiful Buckler cover. I think by this time he had taken over writing the first two, 20 or 25, 26, and I think 27 with the Warwolf. That was like a 3-book story arc. I think was done by Doug. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Moench, I think is how you say it. But anyway, it didn't matter. Buckler kind of took the character over in this issue, and was his from then on. The funny thing in researching these is comics back then, and I don't know if they still are today, usually came out with a cover date. This one says February on it, and this was on the newsstands November 1974. Funny thing is, this one came out in July 1974. So when my mom went, probably I'm guessing right after Thanksgiving, because that's when she did all of her shopping, she probably found this one there and this one. I guess at the drugstore they probably just had it still in there. I think back then they just used to leave stuff till it sold. So it was pretty great. And of course, since then I have gone out and picked up 2 minty copies of both books. Look at how gorgeous white this is. Perfect corners. Absolutely nothing wrong with this one. And that's a keeper for sure. And then this one as well. Just beautiful colors. I just love everything about it. Rich Buckler's artwork was just so great. And that year, I also got some other ones, and I made a little list here. I got Fantastic Four 155. I got Captain America 182. Journey into Mystery 15, which was, I think, the reprint thing because it had a big orange monster, lava monster on it. Power Man 23. And Werewolf by Night 26. But the other thing that I got that year was my first treasury. It was the holiday Christmas treasury. It had the, I think, like Holly Border and the Hulk and all those guys were coming out of the middle of it. And they were just old reprint stories, but I didn't realize what a reprint was. For example, like Journey into Mystery, I didn't understand, that was a reprint, and I didn't care. I just read them anyway. It's funny how you go and you see these things and you remember so much. I use what's it called? Mike's Amazing. Oh, a second, I got to mark it. Mike'sAmazingWorld.com. I think ETA Nick has mentioned this on his site before, and I'm pretty sure Mike is no longer updating that site, and I think he's still trying to figure out what he wants to do with it. But if you've never used it, go on there. It's fantastic. You do the newsstand, you can do it by Marvel, DC, or you can do it by date. For this, to do research on this, I did it by whenever it was newsstand date, so whenever it would have been at the newsstand, and another thing that I didn't realize back then, it makes a lot of sense, and makes a lot of sense in my collecting habits, why I have holes. A lot of books back then, especially Marvel did this, they only published every other month. So when you're a kid, something you don't get something for 60 days, it's you forget about it. So I think that's why a lot of times I'll see, like, I'll buy one book and maybe a second, and that'll be it, because even some of the bigger books didn't get published every month. I'm pretty sure Uncanny X-Men was every other month at that point too. Um, some books, though, I think came out the first week and last week. So anomalies, you had two Hulks in July that year. 180 and 181 came out in the same month, and then Daredevil also had 114 and 115 in it as well. So fast forward several years, and I think it was last fall, I got the privilege of meeting Mike Zeck, and one of my favorite story arcs is when Deathlock leaves his universe 7484 and comes to the 616. He's trying to stop a conspiracy where they end up killing all the heroes, I guess. And he teams up with Captain America, and it was drawn by Mike Zeck, and he was there. So I brought a copy along with me, and I got it signed. And I picked this one because they're both on it. You can see his signature right there. Pretty nice. And of course they give you this thing here, so it proves that that's who actually it was, and the book that he signed. I'm not big on sending these things in. I'm going to keep this thing. I'm not trying to sell it. I don't have like a hand truck with 4 or 5 white boxes getting signatures and then throwing them on eBay in the back of my van in the parking lot like some of these guys I see. But it's fun to meet the people. I've met several of the creators, older ones, and fortunately for me, they don't seem to be the ones that people want to talk to. I met Bob McLeod last year at a con, and there was younger artists and people around, and everyone was all gathered around them, and he was sitting all by himself, and I didn't know who he was just from a distance. And I walked up, and there he was, just sitting at the table all by himself, and we talked for over an hour and a half. He told some great stories. At one point, his office was 3 offices down from Stan Lee, so he would, he talked a lot about that. He talked about who he liked to ink, who he didn't like to ink. So it was, pretty interesting. And the cool thing is now, too, for Bob McLeod, he, helped create New Mutants, and they're kind of being brought to the forefront. So it's nice to see some of the older artists get their just due. But that's my tale of how I started off with Deathlock and how my comic tradition started. And I started that same tradition with my son when he was, a little bit older, probably 4 or 5, same age as me when I got introduced to comics, and he's still into them today. So I guess that's all I had to say today. Still waiting on some of my CGC books. Hopefully they'll come in. They're not exactly reliable, and their customer service isn't great, but they're a necessary evil. And I think that's all we got for today. Oh, I forgot. Obviously, I forgot to mention Rich Buckler passed, and my plan was to get him to sign these books. And I think he passed about 2 months ago or 6 weeks ago. And it seems like we're losing a lot. Bernie Wrightson this year too. So I guess if there's somebody out there that you want to meet and get their signature, do it this year, or they might not be around after that. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed it, and keep reading.